So I got this comment from a reader the other day. He said, yeah, this really helped me, but some friend of mine ran off with my money. What should I do?
Oh,
And I don't know if you remember this, but when I was younger, I sold someone a guitar
I do remember.
for, I don't know, it was $800, $1,000 or something.
Yeah.
They said, well, here, I'm going to give you like $200 now, and then I'll give you the rest like next week. And next week rolled around, and I'm like, hey, yeah, just checking on this. Like, well, don't have it now. I'll get it to you next week. And this just went on and on and on.
Yeah.
And I ended up just never getting the money out of it. And it's really, really hard. But
Yeah.
one of the things that happened through that as I was praying about this, because, I was young and I really needed this money. And
Well, yeah, and that's a really difficult thing because you just feel betrayed.
yeah, it was a friend from church. One of the things that the Lord led me through with this was he showed me that I don't have to be a victim. I can choose to sow this guitar, and I can choose to give this guitar to him. It's kind of like a posture of my heart, and I actually didn't communicate this to him, but in my heart, I let go of the unforgiveness, I let go of the bitterness, and I just said, all right, God, I am choosing to give this to him rather than letting him take it and steal it from me.
And you kind of stopped texting and asking for it.
Yeah,
or
stopped asking. I
following
just
up.
let it go. The peace that brought me,
Yeah.
I don't know what changed for him, but for me, it just changed everything, and it made everything so much more peaceful. And I'm so thankful that I did that. And God took care of me and brought more money in various different ways, and so my needs were met. But yeah.
Didn't you have an opportunity later to kind of minister to him or something?
Yeah. Yep. Years later, God opened up all kinds of doors for me to speak into his life when he was kind of struggling with some things. Really interesting how all these pieces work together.
But if you would have kept fighting to try and get
Yeah,
this money from him,
absolutely.
you wouldn't have had that opportunity to.
Yeah, I would have blown my witness and blown any
Yeah.
credibility I would have had with him. So it's
Yeah.
interesting how God works. But if you're
Okay.
dealing with something like that,
And how long of a process was that for you? From you're feeling pretty upset about it and you're owed this money to God softening your heart and just being like, hey, why don't you just sow that into his life?
Yeah,
And
I don't know.
You can sow this as a seed, really, right?
I don't know. I mean, the whole process was probably a couple months because I thought I was going to get paid. It was like week after week after week. He pretty much just said, no, this is not going to happen. And so it took a while for me to fully realize, because I was frustrated. It took a while for me to fully realize it's not going to come in. There's nothing I can do in my own strength that is going to make this money appear. I'm not going to go twist his arm. I'm not going to go slash his tires. And it was in that God said, all right, you can let me take care of it if you want, and I'll let you sow it. And that way you're planting seeds. You're actually doing something positive with this instead of just being angry and frustrated. And we've had other situations like that since.
Yeah.
And God keeps bringing me back to the same thing. He's like, don't just stand there and be angry and unforgiveness. Choose to give it. Choose to sow a seed and watch what I can do with it.
Yeah, I just wanted you to answer that question because I think it's really easy for the person hearing this to just say, oh, well, that's real easy for you to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it actually was
And it
a
is.
process.
It's easy to say it. It's hard to do it.
But it actually is a process, and it's okay that it's a process.
Yeah.
It's okay that it takes a little while, takes a little time, but yeah, it's amazing. The Lord says that we should pray for our enemies, and I really think that there's a piece of that God is trusting us enough to be offended and to set that offense aside and actually pray for someone who needs it. People who don't understand that concept, they just get mad, and then that's just the end of that. It just ruins their life or whatever. It can ruin their life.
Well, yeah, and you look at how Paul the Apostle, one of the most vigilant anti-Christian people there were, holding the coats while, Christians were being stoned, how he came to know the Lord. I'm absolutely convinced that some of those believers were praying for him and prayed him into the kingdom. And God used their prayers. God used them rather than just being spiteful and cursing him to actually pray for him.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
a lot.
powerful to think about,
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot more intense even than having money taken from you, it
Oh,
seems.
yeah.
Having your life taken from you.
Yeah. So if you're dealing with that, or if you know anybody is, encourage them in that, because that's a way out of this where you can avoid some of the frustration. And God's not blind to it. He's seeing what's happening, and he's going to honor that. He's going to honor that step of faith and that step of generosity and choosing to not be bitter.
Mm-hmm.